All right, you've seen the title, so let's talk about it. Um, for a lot of you, when you were involved in your situation with that individual, um, you may have discovered later down the line that there were, or that they possibly, or you may have red-handed caught them, you know, engaging in illicit drugs, stuff like that. I'm not talking about the soft stuff like, marijuana, stuff like that. I'm talking about the hardcore stuff, meth, even pills, that type of stuff, cocaine, which a lot of times, most of the times, they go towards more of the party type drugs, like the cocaine and so forth. That's, if I would venture to say, it's one particular one that they most commonly um, get involved with. It's the probably cocaine, and the reason being, narcissists like to have those highs. They like to feel on top of the world. They like to feel good. So in events where they're going through a slump, be it they're lacking the right type of supply, they're not feeling fulfilled at the moment, they're not getting enough attention and admiration and praise, the one thing that'll always work to pick them up is some type of drug. That's if they can afford that one. The minimum that would probably be more frequent, um, the cheap man's drug, which would be liquor. It's easily accessible and it's very cheap. So a lot of you may have noticed excessive drinking by them. They may have started out with, a beer or two here or there, but when they get into their slumps, right, narcissists have to get out of that reality, right? They have to remove their minds, their bodies, if they physically could, out of that reality. That's why a lot of what a narcissist does is based on escapism, escaping the reality of what they're going through, right? They don't want to be in the right state of mind, or the type of, they don't want to comprehend, at least, reality as it is. So when those things happen, the narcissist reaches out to some type of vice, which would, assist them in escaping reality. And one, it's usually the cheaper route is alcohol. The other route is usually cocaine. It can be meth. It can be pills. Any of the two, right? Any of the sort, at least. For many of you, these addictions were already there before you met them. As I've said, they have a problem with coping with reality. So they've developed all these different fail safes, right? For if they get into a situation where they can't deal with it and they don't have physical supply, because make no mistake about it, physical human supply is what gives them the highest high and rush, right? So that's number one. If they can't have that, then they find the secondary types of vices that can give them, that type of rush, high, or distraction to cope with whatever. Because pretty much the whole narcissist's life is based on coping with emotions and feelings that they don't know how to deal with. So their whole life they go about finding different things to help them escape the reality of who they are and what they're going through. So life is really like a living hell for a narcissist. And they get by substituting reality with things that give them stimulation, right? Like I said, number one, if they get a new source, that's the ultimate drug. It's like the highest one, and it gets them to engage a lot deeper mentally playing the game. So it helps take the distraction of being alone, being bored. Narcissists hate to be bored and alone and ignored. One of the worst things that could happen to a narcissist is to be not acknowledged, alone, and bored. It's like death to them. And they'll do pretty much anything to escape that feeling, to escape that position that they're in. And this is one of the reasons why when you're with them, they could have just came off a long drug use stint or alcohol consumption stint. And one of the abilities for them, unlike normal people, they can pick up a habit and drop it. They can get on a drug and drop it like that once a new source comes in. Yeah, they could have been coked out 3 months straight. But here's this new source. Boom, they can drop it just like that in a blink of an eye. Because the human source is going to distract them in a different way now, to where they have to put all their efforts, attention, and energy into this new project. And it consumes their mind. Their attention is totally locked in on there. So now the feelings that drew them to going to the secondary types of drugs, at least, subsides. Right? It stops. And they can have it stop almost immediately. That's how they're built, at least. Because now there's the superior drug, which is human supply. And that human type of interaction has showed up. And they can play it off, not touch a drug whole time they're with you. Not touch a drink for the most part whole time they're with you. This is how, because when they go into these characters, they get so embedded into these fictional characters that they create with the interaction of a new supply, that the self that who is them, that carry those emotions and those intense emotions and feelings of being alone and unwanted and with the lack of attention and everything, those feelings disappear with the new source. And now, this is why I say, well, you're like the drug, because you just alleviated, as the new supply, the pain and the anguish and stuff that they were going through, the mental anguish and all of these things that they were going through prior to meeting you. Your presence, your interaction with them, your caring about them, just what's that drug that they give heroin addicts to kick their habit or not. It's something like, I want to say methadone. I don't know if I'm right or not, but you're like that. So you kind of wean them off of one drug and get them, you know, hooked onto you. But in return, because they like that feeling and stuff so much, so intensely of having a new supply, they got to figure out a way to keep you. So they return the favor and they get you hooked on them. So both of you become junkies for each other somewhere in the whole mix of this interaction with a narcissist. They're addicted to you and they've managed to get you addicted to them. So welcome to their world. Because now a lot of you, when they're gone and they're not around and it breaks off, a lot of you may feel like you're dying inside. It feels like you're actually coming off a drug. That feeling. And where normal people, they'll take the right measures to get counseling, coaching, whatever, therapy, to deal with the situation. The narcissist doesn't believe in that, right? For the most part, they know that this is their nature of who they are, and they don't, for a lot of reasons, they feel like therapists and stuff don't know what they're talking about anyway. So they don't really take the advice because they feel like they're better than the therapist. So they don't go seeking help. They try to self-medicate or self-cope with other vices, other things to stimulate them out of that bad state that they got themselves into. Normal people have to go through it. You know, that feeling that you feel when you're going through a bad discard breakup with no answers or no closure. Well, they're feeling like that all the time, right? All the time. And they got to find something to alleviate that. This is why their drive for new supply is so perpetual. Why it doesn't stop. Yeah, I mean, it just keeps going and going and going. Because they know if they don't have a new source, this is why they're always on the lookout, even if they're with you and things are good. In their minds, if I lose this drug, if I lose this source, I'm going to be really messed up. You know how heroin addicts are, how you see when they're trying to kick that drug and how it hurts, it makes them sick, literally. That's how a narcissist is when they don't have any type of supply. You know, especially that human source of supply. That's the one that gives them the greatest high, the greatest rush. Right? You know, they need external validation. The drug, it'll numb them. The alcohol, it'll numb them, it'll distract them, but it can't praise and worship and admire them. Those pills, that it doesn't have the capability of doing that. But a human has the capability of praising them, doing things for them to show that, oh, they are this magnificent, powerful, wonderful person. A human can do that. A drug can't. It can give them the feeling that they are, but it's only so much they can get out of praising themselves. That's anybody for that fact. The feeling hits different when you're acknowledged from outside sources. Healthy people can tell themselves that they're good, and it's good enough, right? But narcissists, it's never good enough, even if they're telling themselves that they are. It only registers when it comes externally for them. And this is why the constant continual pursuit for physical supply is so aggressively sought after. And this is why the drugs and stuff, they're gonna be addicted to something. And in most cases, yes, they have a secondary, they're on some type of drug before they met you. And some periods, even when they're with you, when you stop giving them that rush, that high that they need, they're gonna dibble and dabble to cope with certain feelings that aren't being addressed to make them feel the way they need to feel. You have to remember, they cannot regulate their emotions. They don't know how to do that on their own. They seek external things to do that. So, this is why most narcissists end up being habitually addicted to something. And it's something they can't stop. And they will probably be addicted to something for the rest of their lives. Anyway, that's all I have to say for this. Make sure to like, subscribe. Any one-on-one consultations, it's a lot easier now. Just click the link. It'll take you straight to the page with all the information on that. And until next time, have a good one.